Hey YouTube, I'm Grant, and in about 2 weeks, I'll be taking my first steps on the Pacific Crest Trail. I've been getting a lot of questions from people about the gear I'm carrying, what gun I'm bringing, how big is my knife. A lot of you know that I don't need a gun, and really I'm probably safer not having one at all. How big is my knife? Well, size matters. So let's head back to my house. I'm gonna break down what I'm carrying from Mexico to Canada, including the gear that I plan on mailing myself to Kennedy Meadows in order to tackle the Sierra. So, first is my backpack of choice, which is the Granite Gear Crown 60. I've had this backpack for a number of years and really enjoy it. It is a roll top pack, so it's easy to adjust for heavier carries, which I anticipate there will be this year because of COVID. I've modified this backpack to include 2 Gossamer Gear hip belt pockets and a DIY water bottle holder on my shoulder strap. The tent that I will be using is the X-Mid 2P by Dan Durston. I was really on the fence about what tent to get for a long time, and after hearing Dan on Backpacker Radio, it made my decision a lot easier. My partner and I will be splitting this tent, so we'll each carry about a pound each. I'll carry the fly and she'll carry the bug net inner and all of our tent stakes. For my sleep system, I'll be using the Thermarest NeoAir X Therm along with the Enlightened Equipment Enigma 15. That's the 850 fill power Enigma. I'll also be using a Cocoon Silk sleeping bag liner, which kind of acts like having sheets for your quilt. It's easy to wash when you get into town. It keeps some of the draft out, and it also has this cinch cord at the hood, which locks my Trekology inflatable pillow into place. The quilt and liner go into an Ultrasil dry bag at the bottom of my pack, and my sleeping pad and pillow are folded up and stood up along the back. Moving on to food storage, cook system, and water. First off, I'll be using the Z-Packs food bag and bear hanging kit, which has a little rock bag, some line, and a little carabiner for getting the food bag up off the ground. I'll also have the Rock Creek 750 milliliter titanium pot with the lid, a Toaks titanium long-handled spoon, a BRS titanium UL stove. I'll also bring a small cut of an old neck gaiter for cleaning my pot and as a pot holder, and some tin foil for wind protection. For water, I'll bring a Nock Vecto 2-liter water bladder, a Sawyer squeeze, and 2 1-liter water bottles with threads that match the Sawyer squeeze. For clothing, we'll start with the puffy jacket. I'll be bringing the Enlightened Equipment Torrid Apex. And big shout out to Enlightened Equipment and Jenna over there. I ordered an XL originally because they were out of stock in the size large. I'm lucky enough that I live 30 minutes away from their headquarters in Winona, Minnesota. So when I buy from them, I can say I'm supporting local. I wanted an exchange. The XL was a little too big for me. Jenna said, come on by. We just got the larges in stock and we'll get you exchanged. So thank you, Jenna, and thank you, Enlightened Equipment. Next up is the Patagonia Torrent shell and a Melanzana fleece. I'll be bringing 3 pairs of socks with me. In this lineup, I have 2 pairs of Darn Toughs and 1 pair of Farm to Feet. I'll wear 2 of the pairs for hiking. I'll rotate those out, and I'll have 1 pair for sleeping. Depending on how the weather is, I have some lightweight socks and some midweight socks, so I'll rotate those around to make my feet comfy. Pictured next are the Outdoor Research Helium Rain Pants, a pair of Patagonia Capilene lightweight tights, REI Merino lightweight gloves, a Sims wool beanie, and a buff with UV protection and insect shield. For footwear, I'll be wearing the Ultra Lone Peak 5s. I've been running in Ultras pretty much since the idea of thru hiking got into my head, and I realized that almost everyone wears Ultras. So I've gotten my feet used to the zero drop, and inside of there I put a pair of Superfeet Trailblazer Comfort insoles. With those, I'll use Ultra Trail Gaiters to keep rocks and sand out, And then in camp and around towns, I'll be wearing my Zero Shoes Z-Trail sandals. Next up are my electronics, most of which will live in this dry bag. Some of these things, like my headphones, my Garmin, my headlamp, those are going to be much more accessible. So I'll keep those in my hip belt pockets or my fanny pack. The only thing not shown here is my camera, which is a Canon M50 with an 11 to 22 millimeter lens. And that'll be stored in a Chicken Tramper custom camera bag. So that'll be on the shoulder strap. They've been really awesome to work with, and thank you, Austin, over there. They're going to mail it to me on trail, so it should be getting done right around when I'm starting, so I hope to see it in those first couple weeks. And it's an awesome product. If you don't know about it yet, you should check it out. Pictured here is my Ditty Bag, which will include a deuce of spades, a backcountry bidet, and a small water bottle. And I will have a cap with the bottle that I use on trail, just so that I can fill up at water sources and hold on to it until I need to do my duty. Then for first aid and gear repair, I'll start in the upper left-hand corner. That's Tiger Balm, sunscreen, a trail journal with a pen, and there's some Leuko tape wrapped around there, alcohol wipes, a sewing needle, chapstick, super glue, ibuprofen, a fingernail clipper, toothbrush, toothpaste, body glide, floss, a Rology cork ball, an eyedropper with liquid bleach, and that's just in case my Sawyer squeeze fails, I can still get clean water. And lastly, a Ziploc with tenacious tape and a patch kit for my sleeping pad. For the clothes that I'll be wearing, we'll start with the Mountain Hardwear Crater Lake Sun Hoodie. This thing is wicked comfy, and it has a UPF of 50. That's really high. It'll protect me really well in the desert and in the sunny Sierra. It stays warm when I'm cold. It stays cold when I'm hot. It's an awesome sun hoodie. Down low, I'll be wearing the Duluth Trading Co. Buck Naked underwear, and I'll wear Asics running shorts with those. I went ahead and cut the net out of the running shorts because I had some issues with chafing during shakedown hikes, and this new combo seems to be really comfy. I'll also have a Gossamer Gear hipster fanny pack, a hat, Z-Packs carbon fiber trekking poles, and the Ultras that we saw earlier. Last but not least is the gear that I'll mail to Kennedy Meadows in order to tackle the Sierra, starting with the Camp Corsa Ice Axe. Next is a pair of micro spikes, and I think I'll actually carry these right from the beginning of my hike. There are some dangerous passes in the San Jacinto Wilderness, and that's pretty early on in the hike. It doesn't make much sense to jump these ahead to myself over and over. I have an early start, and it's worth it to me to carry the weight. Next is a pair of REI Minimalist rain mitts to keep my hands a little warmer, a pair of REI Merino midweight tights to keep my legs warm, and lastly is a Bear Vault 500, which is required through this area. So there you have it. That's the gear that I plan on bringing from Mexico to Canada, and I'm certain I'll be making changes. In fact, I already did. The hat I'm wearing is different than the one that I showed you earlier in the video. That one was made of cotton. I don't know what the UPF rating was. This one, it's nylon. It has a UPF of 50, and it's a better product. I do plan on making changes like that along the way because something might not work for me when I get halfway, and that's okay. So I do plan on doing another video when I'm all done showing you what worked, what didn't, what I'd bring again, and what I wouldn't. I'll also be doing 2 more videos in the next 2 weeks. One of my partner Sarah and what she plans on bringing with her, because what works for me might not work for somebody else, and she's a good example of that. I also plan on doing another video about resupply packages. I'll be sending myself 8 along the trail. I'm going to take you guys through every step of that, from getting the box to getting the groceries and making all those boxes. So stay tuned. I got a lot more content coming up, and I'm excited to keep you guys in the loop.